In this video, I am going to talk about how to initiate a research project at doctoral or master's level. The first step in starting a research project is to identify your research area, a research area in your field of study. For example, if your field of study is education, you might be interested in the area of curriculum, or you might be interested in the area of educational psychology, or you might be interested in any other area like assessment, classroom management, or something else. So the first step is to identify the area of your research. You do not start by identifying a research topic. What happens usually, I've learned over the years that many times students come up with a research topic. In fact, we cannot identify a research topic before doing literature review. So the first step in initiating a research project is to identify the research area. So what is the next step? Once you have identified a research area, you need to read around the topic. For doctoral level students, I usually suggest that you should read minimum 30 research papers around your area, minimum. So how to read research papers? The best thing is to read those papers which are peer reviewed. Usually the articles published in the research papers, in the research journals which are listed in JCR, they are very prestigious journals and they are all peer reviewed journals. Or there are other publishers like Sage, Emerald, Taylor and Francis, Science Direct, Wiley, their articles are also peer-reviewed articles. So you may search those articles which have been published in the journals which are published by these publishers. There are others also, certainly I've missed the names of those journals right now. So once you have identified your research area, next step is to read around the research area. You need to find articles, you need to find studies which have been published by peer-reviewed journals. So what to look for when you are reading articles in the journals? I always recommend my students to make a table. You may make a table or you may keep a record in some other way, but making a table in fact works for me. That you need to make a table. In the table you write down the title of the article, then authors of the articles, author or authors of the article, then you identify the purpose of the article, the purpose of the study actually which has been presented in the article. Then you identify the theories which have been referred or which have been used as a framework in a particular study. So you identify those theories. Then you identify the methods which have been used in carrying out a particular study. So aims or purpose of the study, theories mentioned in the paper, in the study, methods mentioned in the paper or methods used to study something, and then you need to identify the context of the study, in which particular area, geographical area, a study was done. The last one is that you identify you mention, you note down the findings presented in a particular study. So literature review is not simple reading of a paper. It should be done very carefully. It should serve the purpose of identifying the research gap. So when you read different studies, you need to keep a record of all these things, that what were the aims of the study, what were the methods used, what were the context, what were the theories which underpinned a particular study, and what was the context. Once you have analyzed all the papers, say you have read 30 papers, 30 studies, you have made or you have developed a record of those 30 papers. Next step is to synthesize the analysis. जो आपने analysis किया है, whatever the analysis you have done, now at this point you need to synthesize that. By synthesis, I mean that you put together all those chunks of information during your analysis and get a picture. For example, in 30 articles, you might have noticed that 17 articles were written in the context of North America. Maybe 6 articles were from China and 5 articles from European context. So, and the remaining 1 or 2 were from South Asia. So your analysis actually leads to a synthesis that very few or no studies have been done in the context of South Asia. So your study might be very meaningful. So you should be able to identify the research gap in the light of the context. Or maybe your finding is, after reading literature, your finding is that a lot of research has been done across the world with a nearly equal representation of different geographical areas. So in that particular context, there will not be any research gap regarding the geographical representation. So after identifying this one aspect, you may go for identifying the research purposes of different studies. Say you have read 30 articles, you need to identify the research purpose of each paper. You have actually identified the research purpose. Now you need to synthesize your analysis, your findings. So over here you might say that research, for example, if your area is education for sustainable development, so at this point you might say that your literature review has shown you that researchers working or researching in the area of education for sustainable development have investigated issues related to sustainability pedagogies, sustainability learning pedagogies, sustainability literacies, sustainability competencies, sustainability consciousness, sustainability in higher education, and maybe sustainability tools regarding sustainability measurement, sustainability competencies measurement. So you synthesize, you find what has been done, which areas, which topics have been covered under your area. So once you have identified that, you should be able to notice what has not been done. So maybe you see that there are fewer studies which actually represent the challenges faced by the teachers who implement education for sustainable development in their schools. These challenges may be related to integration of the concept, or these challenges may be related to the pressure from administration. So you might identify some other gaps too. So after you can do this only if you have read the articles and analyzed what were the purposes of different studies presented in literature. So first you need to identify the context. Next you need to identify the purpose of the research in prior studies. Then you need to actually synthesize what has been, which theories have actually underpinned your area of research. Different theories हो सकती हैं, but you need to name those theories. you might notice that one theory has been used more often as compared to other theories. First, you need to identify, you need to mention that these many theories, for example, 7 theories have been used in the research related to education for sustainable development or curriculum or assessment, whatever is your area. So after mentioning the number of theories, you need to label, you need to mention the names of those theories, and then you need to tell which theory has been most often used by the researchers, or researchers have based their researches on a particular theory. After doing this, you need to talk about, you need to mention the research methods. In this section, you will say that your area of interest has been investigated by using multiple research methods, maybe experimental researches, correlational studies, case studies, qualitative descriptions, phenomenological researches, and maybe grounded theory too. Or you might notice that in the articles which you have read till now, there was no research based on action research method. So that would be your gap. Or maybe you just find that your researchers in your field of study, in your area of study, have done most of the researches by using quantitative research methods. There are fewer qualitative research methods used by the researchers. So here again you identify the gap. So literature review is the key thing, is the key activity in initiating a research project. So once you have identified what has been done in your area of research and what has not been done, you are able to identify, to develop a tentative research topic. I'm saying it would be a tentative research topic because you need to further refine your research topic by reading more literature. So you actually develop or identify a tentative research topic by reading by reading prior researches related to your area of interest. Once you have done that, you can move to the next step, that would be refining of your research topic. So for that you need to again read some more literature to be able to refine your research topic. So in this video I have just mentioned that how you actually initiate a research project, how you identify a tentative research topic. You never do research to reinvent the wheel. Research means to build on the existing knowledge. So if you do not read literature, you might be doing something which has already been done, and it would be waste of time and resources.